morning everyone. Good morning ma'am. I am Veronica Lamico Palma with Teacher Roman. So we are here to discuss about instructional planning. What do you think is instructional planning? So, instructional planning is a process of designing and organizing learning experiences that help students achieve specific learning objectives. So, instructional planning is our blueprint, our guide for the whole unit. It encompasses a broader and more strategic learning plan. I have here the three components of instructional planning. So first, we have what to teach. So of course, before you came up with what to teach to your students, you have to undergo first the process. So first, we have assessing learner skills. So first, as a teachers, according to our last chapter or last topic, we talk about that the center of our instruction is the learner. So of course, as a teacher, we need to consider the abilities of our student, that the task we provide for them is within their abilities. The second process is analyzing instructional tasks. So of course, after assessing the skill of our student, we need to analyze next is the task. So of course, we need to be sure as teacher of what are plans that our learners should be accomplished within the unit. And of course, by doing that, we need to also to remember that our tasks are within the abilities of our learners. And by breaking down complex tasks to simpler. So the third process we have establishing logical sequence. So along with the analysis of instructional tasks, teachers now need to sequence this task in a logical and appropriate manner. That is, the tasks are written also in the ability of the learners. This could be done by prioritizing the lower level one into a complex one. So of course, as a teacher, we need to teach our learners first the simple ones, which is example in mathematics. We need to first teach our learners the addition before we came to the complex one, which is the division. So that is establishing logical sequence. There is from simplest and to the complex. The fourth one, we have considering contextual variables. So of course, we teachers, thinking of what we teach in our learners, we need to also to consider contextual variables. So this, which may include how long the lesson will take, the availability of materials needed, and how long does this lesson per day consume time. One we have analyzing instructional grouping. So from the word groupings, it talks about interaction and collaboration with their classmates. As language learning involves social-linguistic interaction, so of course the learners may have this meaningful interaction with their classmates, and so that for us teacher, we can know what instruction we can give them, and to make it meaningful to them to collaborate with their classmates. So of course, with the collaboration, we will know also on how our students learn more and perform better. One, we have identifying gaps in actual and expected performance. So as the teachers know how the level of performance that the learners have, so it is imperative for them to bridge the prior knowledge or the current knowledge of the student to the new material being presented. This goes to show how initial preparations are before the teachers can even decide what to teach to their learners. By following those processes, so you can came up, or the teachers like us can came up on what to teach to our learners. So now let's proceed to how to teach our learners. So first, we have selecting instructional goals. So of course, as teachers, we need to present our goals to our students in a simpler way for them to understand what are your goals in this unit, what you want them to achieve. So the second one on how to teach our learners is selecting instructional methods and materials. So of course, in selecting instructional methods and materials, it is guided by the selected topics. So of course, the task given to the learners and the learners itself. And sometimes we encounter some students that our methods or materials that is used is not applicable to them. Sometimes they need more higher methods or materials needed.
Good morning, everyone. I am Irish Diraman, and I will be continuing the process of talking. So now let's move on to pacing instruction appropriately. So pacing instruction appropriately is important because it directly impacts the student learning and engagement. So if the pacing instruction is too fast, then students may not have enough time processing information or leading them to confusion and difficulty to remember. And if the pacing instruction is too slow, then the student might become bored and disinterested. One is the monitoring performance and the planning instruction. So it is also important because it is the foundation for dynamic and responsive learning environment. So by monitoring the students' performance, teacher can identify their strengths, weaknesses, and individual learning styles. So by knowing those informations, it allows teachers to make and adjust their instruction to meet the individual needs of our students. So that they can adjust their pacing instruction and they can provide also differentiated activities and offer support or challenge to those students who are ready for more complex and advanced instruction. Those are the process of how to teach and instructional planning. So now let's proceed to communicating realistic expectation. So means being clear and honest with students about what they are expected to learn and achieve. So in this area, students are aware of what they are expected to learn and achieve by the end of this unit course. So there are the related components of instructional planning, namely clear objectives, learning materials, active background knowledge, direct instruction, learner practice, closure, and demonstration of learning. Making objectives, you need to be clear, so you must be smart. So when we say smart, it means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bounded. So when our objectives in a smart settings, then it can provide us the clear roadmap for both teacher and students that can lead to a more focused and successful learning experience. Now let's proceed to the learning materials. So learning materials like realia and models are essential for effective teaching. So learning materials like realia and models, they can bridge the gap between abstract concept and concrete experiences. It also makes the learning instruction more engaging, memorable, and meaningful. Or a real-world object like maps and tools can ground the abstract ideas in reality, and it makes the instruction more easy to understand and remember. So now let's proceed to the other one, the active background knowledge. So active knowledge helps you as a teacher, to understand the prior knowledge of your students and identify the potential gaps of understanding so that you can create an engaging experiences that build upon what they already know or what the students already know. By understanding the students what already know, you as a teacher can create lessons that are relevant and meaningful to them. So this approach leads to deeper learning. So now let's proceed to the direct instruction. So in direct instruction, this is where the various means are employed by the teachers to deliver the learning to the learner. Also in direct instruction, it ensures that informations are presented clearly and concisely, leaving no room for confusion. So now let's proceed again to learner practice. So learner practice, this is where students must apply or practice what they have learned in class. So in this learner practice day, it has three types of practice: guided practice, collaborative practice, and independent performance to do with the teachers guiding them or leading them.
So they will not do the practice or test alone, but instead they will do it with the guidance and help of the teacher.
So next is the collaborative practice. So in collaborative practice, students are given a task performance to do with their classmates. It can be through a small group or large group. So at this stage, teacher will be only going around and providing help to those students who are struggling. The last practice is the independent practice. In independent practice, students are given the performance task that will be doing on their own. So teachers can still roam around to identify those students who understand the concept taught or who among the students need additional support or practice.
Next, we have the
Closure. So in closure, it is the last part of the lesson where the teachers help the students to summarize or synthesize what they learned. So it is the time to solidify understanding and connect new information to the prior knowledge. So it can be in a form of activity that students can participate in order to evaluate their knowledge. We have the demonstration of learning. So in demonstration of learning, students will be able to perform a certain performance task that is all about their understanding of the concept that are presented. So, of course, teacher will be given the opportunity to gather the data of the learner performance. And this will end our topic.